Any comments? No? All right. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now for the agenda and all that,
What's the matter?
well, I know we're going to close session, but I mean for the
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. I do have one thing that I have to report out.
New batteries or?
We took a vote to approve a settlement agreement with employee number 19137. Kent moved it. Jose seconded, and it was 5-0. And no abstentions. All right. Shantae.
Yes.
Pledge of allegiance. The money.
I didn't do it.
Okay, put your right hand over your heart, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, I thought I was in trouble.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Okay, vote.
Aye.
A public hearing, 2023-24 LCAP annual update.
All right, I'd like to welcome Dr. Rebecca Cook. She's going to be presenting to us our, yay! Our 23-24 LCAP update, which really is a review of our goals and our actions and how we've done, and then also our LCAP for this year. So, thank you.
You brought your own cheering section, I see.
I do, only
That's
because they
great.
want me to stop talking about it, really. They're just cheering because they're like, let it be over.
Yeah, please.
Right? And they've all helped. So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to present to you today, to Board, Mr. Cole's cabinet. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time today. Next slide, please. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Here's our agenda for the next few minutes that I'll be here. We're going to just kind of talk about the 3-year LCAP cycle in general, review what we like to affectionately call the BOP, the Budget Overview for Parents, talk a little bit about how we engaged our educational partners, review some local indicators, and then I will share what you've all been waiting for, which is the new LCAP. So if I can go to the next slide, please. So what is the local control funding formula? And we've talked about this before. I just wanted to remind everybody that the local control funding formula is a combination of the base grant, which every school district gets based on the number of students in the grade levels of those students. Then there's a supplemental grant, which is geared towards your low-income English learners and foster youth, and with the goal of providing increased or improved services. Then, in addition, school districts get what's called a concentration grant. If 50%, more than 55% of the low-income English learners and foster youth, if there's more than 55% of those in your district, then you get an additional 50% of funding. So, the local control funding formula, that's what it looks like. It also includes other state local funds, for example, Title I and things like that. So if I can go to the next slide, please. So the LCAP is the plan that spends, or that talks about how we're planning on spending our local control funding formula. It's a 3-year plan, and it's brand new this year for 24 to 27, and it will always address 8 state and local priorities, and it will always describe the actions, goals, and expenditures that will support positive student outcomes. Next slide, please. The goal of the LCAP really is about transparency. It's about allowing us to provide a voice for our educational partners, and within that voice, as we're hearing from them about what their wants and needs are, we're also sharing with them our data, what our feedback is also, and then what's working, what's not working, and be able for us to come together and have some conversations about how we can ensure that we have strong, positive student outcomes. Wow, look at him without me even talking. So quickly, I mentioned I would talk about the budget overview for parents. This is the very beginning of the actual LCAP. The budget overview for parents is just a quick view to say, here's how much money we're spending is in our budgeted general fund expenditures, $232,749,241.03, but I didn't put the 3 cents on there, is our budgeted general fund. And then within the LCAP is a little over $87 million. And again, those $87 million are tied to services and actions within the LCAP. Okay, and if you can go to the next slide, I'll talk about those services and items that are actions that are in the LCAP are, some of them have to be specially concentrated for those students that I mentioned earlier, your English learners, your foster youth, and your low income. This particular slide just shares with you how we spent our money last year. We had budgeted a little over 44 million for our increased and improved services for those high need student groups, but we spent just a little more than that, which is actually a good thing that we're spending our money to provide those increased and improved services for our students, our most needy, high need students. So, and I'm just going to say, I didn't say this earlier, if you have a question, you can stop me at any time. What I mentioned earlier was that part of ensuring that we have a good, accurate, transparent LCAP is that we engage our educational partners, and it is a requirement. And honestly, it's my favorite part of the LCAP, is when we get to spend time with our educational partners. If you could go to the next slide, I would share with you these are some of the educational partner meetings, actually all of the ones that I particularly held with regards to the LCAP Advisory Committee. We went to school sites and met with parents at every single school site. We held student forums at every single school site. We met with the superintendent's group. I meet with DLAC almost every month. And then this year, we faithfully held our district advisory committee meetings throughout the year also. The bottom ones that you see there are where we actually reviewed a draft of the LCAP to get feedback from our community partners. And of course, it is on the website for anyone who wants to ask questions or give feedback on it. And then what I wanted to share with you quickly, I don't know what's going on with the slide deck, but there's a clean one in the actual board agenda items. But there's some frequently shared information. I just wanted to highlight some of the things that our parents and our community partners, our students, our staff were talking about that they liked that's already in the LCAP or they wanted adding to it. They really liked the smaller class sizes. They liked the increased bilingual staff to support our parents when they come into school sites. They really liked having, what's not on there, were the ability to promote the MTSS and PBIS structures, which include things like our ASB cards, paying for those for kids. They really liked that we offer to pay for parent volunteers. So if they want to volunteer, they don't have to, out of their own pocket, get cleared to volunteer. So those are some of the things that the students said they liked, that the parents said they liked, and just kind of some highlights. Everything, if you really want to know what's in there, is in the LCAP on pages 59 to 66. If you're really interested in all of the feedback that was relevant to the LCAP is in there. So if we can go to the next slide. Really quickly, I'm going to address just really quickly about our local indicators. Local indicators are self-reflection reports that we meet as a group. We kind of reflect on some progress of things like implementation of standards, I'm going to say that one, implementation of standards, and then we have a conversation to say, where are we with that process or with that work? And then I upload to the California School Dashboard whether we've met or what level of met we have on those indicators. And those will show up in the California School Dashboard in the release in the fall. So that's kind of what the local indicators are. Our district will score met on all 5 of our local indicators for this particular upcoming dashboard. And you can go to the next slide. And the next slide. There we go. And the next slide. Great job. And the next one. Here we go. So one thing about our new LCAP this year, and now I'm getting really into kind of the meat of what today is about, is we were able to, with the new 3-year cycle, we were able to align our goals and actions with our district priorities and our district values. So having a new superintendent has allowed us to really clarify what we're going after, our A through G rate, right, our essential standards, and to increase literacy, and also really clarified for us what our district values are. So we were able to really clearly kind of add those into our LCAP, which I will share with you next. If I could go to the next slide, please. So goal number 1, so we rearranged the goals. Goal number 1 is our old goal number 2. This is what I like to think of as the academic goal. It talks about equity-based practices. It talks about measurable impact. It addresses 5 of our state priorities, and it is highlighted in the LCAP on pages 68 through 77. And if you can go to the next slide, I can quickly run through some of the action items in Goal 1. Our legacy program is in Goal 1, curriculum and instruction support. Definitely, we're continuing on with our credit recovery and intervention. Our virtual program is also in there. We continue to support our special ed students and support our CTE pathways. Goal 1 is the biggest. If you can go to the next slide, we actually have 15 action items in Goal 1. Some of the things that we want to make sure we continue to do is have appropriately credentialed teachers. We want to make sure we support core instruction through our textbook adoptions, and you can see there, those are some of the highlights. Goal number 2 on the next slide is on pages 81 to 85 of the LCAP, and this one is really about our school environment. This is our old goal number 3. It talks about a positive school climate. This goal really has action items, which if you go to the next slide, you'll see about home to district communication, home to school communications. Our action items are a little bit, they're kind of smaller buckets of items, but they really are concentrated in particular areas. This particular goal, just to call out, has safety and security. We have put in the impending police force is located in action 4 of goal 2. So, that's kind of exciting. On pages 86 and 87 are the action items of the LCAP goal number 2. Goal number 3. And then this is our old goal number 1. Brett, this is where I call you out in our LCAP. This is our clean campuses. This is our access to technology, ensuring that we have highly qualified teachers at our schools. This is on page 88 and 89 of the LCAP, and it has 6 action items, which are listed on the next slide. And they're on pages 90 and 91, where we continue to fund, ensure that our students have a way to get to school, transportation, ensuring that we have all the technology that our kids need to be successful, and our facilities are clean and in good repair. I have another main LCAP goal, goal number 4, which is a carryover from last year's goal for our African American students. We want to continue to support our African American students to ensure that they're getting what they need to succeed and have strong academic achievement. That goal is on page 92 and 93 of the LCAP. This is basically our heritage program goal. If you look at the next slide, this goal funds our heritage program coordinators and all of the resources that go with heritage. One thing you'll notice is that we no longer have a specific goal for our foster youth. We rolled that into all of our other goals. So we still have the actions. We're still supporting our foster youth. We just kind of looped it into some of the other goals. The last part I want to talk about today are the equity multiplier goals. This is kind of the big addition to the LCAP, and this is why everyone wants me to stop talking. Could you go back one slide for me, please? We're missing a slide. Okay, equity multiplier goals are allocated annually based on the rates of a socioeconomically disadvantaged student population of 70% or more, and a greater than 25% non-stability rate. You can go to the next slide if you want. And in our district, we received over $11 million, $11,772,396 in equity multiplier funds. These funds are allocated annually to our schools, and they're not guaranteed. They're based on those rates of our socioeconomically disadvantaged population and our non-stability rate. Non-stability rate means students who do not stay at our school for one full year. So the year starts in July, goes to June. As kids come and go, that increases our non-stability rate. And some of our schools have a 30%, which means kids are coming and going all the time. We have done careful work in educational services in the curriculum instruction department to work with our schools to ensure that the funds are spent on items which are sustainable, which means that we want to make sure that whatever we are purchasing or whatever services we're providing, we can sustain and don't cost us money in the future in case those funds go away. So every year, schools will be reallocated these monies. This particular year, 3 of our schools did not get funding: Sims, University Prep, and Larea. Larea didn't get them just because they're new. So we'll see what comes out next year with regards to their rates and see if they actually get the funds or not. So schools get their funds, and then the way they have to spend them is based on their dashboard, and they have to consider every single student group who is in the red indicator on the California School Dashboard. So if Silverado has a number of students who score red in chronic absenteeism, suspension rate, and English learner progress, then those student groups have to be called out in their goals, in their equity multiplier goals. So, having said that, if you could go to the next, I think this is probably the most, for me, it's probably the most confusing part. So if you have questions, you're welcome to ask. Our district has 7 equity multiplier goals, 1 for each of the schools that earned the funds. These goals were created, as I mentioned, with careful collaboration with educational services. Every school site did a strong needs assessment, and then their goals were written, and they are also part of their SIPSAs, their single plan for student achievement. So those goals align with LCAP goals 5 through 12. And if you can go to the next slide, the last thing I wanted to share with you, oh, we're still missing slides. That's really odd. Goals 5 through 12, really the services that support our students, the big 3 items that our schools mostly decided that they needed to spend their money on was professional learning and consultants, learning labs, tutoring, things like that for at-promise students, and then wellness centers and community outreach. Those are kind of the 3 big buckets of where we're spending our money for equity multiplier funds, although you're welcome to check with me later and I'll share you many more details, or you can just look at the LCAP. And the last thing to know about equity multiplier goals is that in the LCAP, they're a 3-year goal. So the sites have 3 years to spend that money. In the school single plans, in the SIPSAs, you'll see that the schools have made 1-year goals. So it's all aligned, it's all similar, it's just a little different based on whether it's coming from the district or coming from the school site. The school sites have every opportunity to spend their money. All we do is help them organize it and make sure that they're aligned with their goals and where their needs assessment are. And I think that is almost the end of my presentation. If we go to the next slide. So just next steps are hopefully, if all goes well, the LCAP will be adopted by the board on the 27th. In the meantime, there is a draft on the website. For anyone who wants to provide comments, there's a link there. It's on the website, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, a site qualifies because they meet all the criteria.
Yep.
And then by using these funds, they improve, so they no longer meet all the criteria. Do they then lose what money's left, or do they
No.
get to keep it? Because the idea is to improve the situation. Okay.
Right. So that 11 million that's been allocated for this next, it's a 3-year allocation. So they get that money and they have 3 years to spend it. Now next year, come March or January, February, when they decide to do allocations, when they're ready to do them again, they'll allocate another set of money to all the schools who qualify on those 2 qualifiers, which is that low income students, 75% or more, 70, 75, and then 25% or more of that non-stability rate,
Yeah,
right?
because
As long as they qualify, they'll get that money every year, and they have
if
3 years to spend
If they
it.
improve, like, if they improve in their math and English scores,
That doesn't qualify
that
them.
disqualify them.
No, that doesn't qualify them. It's odd, but they qualify based on the 2 indicators.
Socioeconomic and,
Low income and whether they move around a lot.
oh,
But they have to
that's
spend their
easy.
money
Yeah, okay.
based on their indicators in red.
Sounds
So hopefully they won't have indicators in red, and then they can spend it on indicators in orange. Yes, sir.
Just a couple comments on the dashboard. It looks like we're in orange or above and everything except for mathematics. But our suspension rate is the only one that, with our graduation rate. Our college and career, it says we're low still on that. I thought we improved this year. I guess that,
This is an old image
okay.
that I just put on there so you could understand
So
that
we can
we're.
understand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It updates in December.
Yep.
So based on our new results, when it, basically the first of the year, this is 23's results.
Okay, so
So
this
it'll
is
take
20
24 results, which will have this new ones in there. So
2023, 2024, we'll get, okay, we'll
Yeah.
get
It-
on that.
It's,
Updated results, yes.
Yeah.
Also, in goal 1, we talk about legacy.
yes,
In goal 4, we talk about heritage.
yes.
Are we planning on incorporating those 2 in one goal?
So, that's a good question. The EL component of goal number 1 is where our legacy is coming in, right? So we are supporting our English learners in goal number 1, and that's why that lives there. Our African American population has their own goal for reasons, throughout our district of trying to really, really focus on improving the work of our African Americans. So, we could make it a separate goal, but again, since we're already supporting English learners in goal 1, we just kind of roped it in there.
All
Yeah.
right. And
That's
then
a great question.
Two other quick questions. You talk about on this one here, on ours, it's the, it's goal 5 through 12 actions.
Yeah, the one that didn't show up on the slide up here?
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go. Studies will provide many opportunities for professional learning focused on improved outcomes. Is improved outcomes specified more in the document?
Yes.
Because improved outcomes is kind of nebulous.
So absolutely, and that's why this is like, I just said, they're buckets, right?
Okay.
And every SIPSA, which are also in today's meeting, they're called out pretty clearly. They're called out in the LCAP also, because each of those goals has 5 or 6 actions attached to it. Some of them have more depending on the school site. So absolutely, and I'll talk to you about it later if you want, like
Sure.
more specifically, absolutely. But they're in there.
Okay, and then the last one, unfinished learning. Does that mean where the kids are behind?
Yes.
Is that what unfinished
Yeah.
learning means? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Cook, all of these goals, who is responsible to see that these are met?
Everybody's. Everyone's.
No, if it's got to
Really?
be somebody specific.
No, well, I oversee all of the work. So I start looking at the data usually with Dr. Cronk in December or so, because some of these goals are actually based on our 23-24 test scores, which we already have, right? But really when we're looking at like benchmarks, like how are we doing on our STAR? How are we doing? We can look at attendance monthly, right? We can look and review our suspension rate monthly if we want to. So I work with everyone who's in charge of those particular areas. So we're talking about anything to do with student services, I'll work with Tiffany Hampton. If I'm working with special ed, I'll work with Larry Brunson. So it's a little bit of everyone, but most of it falls here.
On you.
Yeah, but
It does.
there's-
So she quarterbacks it. I mean, she's the hub of the quarterback, puts the numbers together, but she's going to have to work with the whole team.
So there's some that aren't being met.
There are some that don't get met. Yep, there are. And then we just keep going. We look and we do the root cause analysis to why. Why didn't we meet that? Was that action not something we should have purchased or done, or that service isn't working? Then how do we make it better? And that comes out a lot in our community engagement meetings with parents. They're like, we don't even know that exists, or we love that program, or, or talking to kids too. So an example from last year's LCAP is when the kids were like, we need more mental health clinicians. Like we don't get in to see them, right? So we look at that and we're like, okay, well, let's add a few more at the larger schools. And then we ask, how do we know that's working, right? We look at our panorama survey. Are kids feeling better at school? Are they more connected? So this LCAP is much more clear on connecting the metrics of how we know something's working to the actual action items.
Well, that was one of the problems they had. They couldn't accountability.
Yeah, and they're
And
very
nobody could account for anything.
they're very clearly connected now.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good job.
anybody else?
Good job.
Anybody else? All right, that was our public hearing for that, and it ended at 2:50. All right, now public hearing for proposed budget.
I was like, nobody is clapping.
The crowd goes wild.
Good afternoon. What an act to follow, though, right? Okay, so I'm here to present the 24-25 proposed annual budget. Next slide. So the themes that we're working with for this budget, at the May revise, Governor Newsom had some very difficult problems to solve. He had to solve projected deficits in the 24-25 and the 25-26 years, and also deficits in this current year, 23-24. The deficits are being caused by revenue shortfalls. So the state's revenue projections have fallen very, very short over the last couple of years. Outside of education, he actually proposes some very significant cuts to government operations, reductions in programs, and to pause new investments in order to meet some of the, mitigate some of the deficits. Thankfully, K through 14 education, we've been shielded from ongoing programmatic reductions at this point. So he accomplished this by fully depleting the Prop 98 rainy day fund, and then also increasing Prop 98 funding through a funding maneuver that we're all still not really clear what that means, but that's what he proposes as far as one-time cuts in education. The governor's May revision, he does not assume that there is a recession in the next 12 months, but it does include risks to Prop 98, and if they should come to pass, we may see some problems with that funding. Next slide. A little bit more about Proposition 98. So there have been some significant disparities between budgeted and actual state general fund revenue. And so hence that has created the problems for the education budget, both at the state and local levels. Revenues have been very volatile over the last couple of years, and as a result of that, there have been multi-billion-dollar reductions in the Prop 98 minimum guarantee, and those reductions are both for the years 2022-23 and 2023-24. So what we're really feeling at this point, we're really feeling the effects of the very risky revenue assumptions that were made in the 22-23 year. And so we're just experiencing a trickle-down effect from that. And again, there's that Prop 98 maneuver, whatever that is, but it has significant implications for K through 14 resources in the future. So we're all keeping a close eye on that. Next slide. So I won't go over this too much because Rebecca has covered this quite sufficiently in her presentation. But there are 3 programs that I want to highlight that have been included in the 24-25 budget. These programs were not included in the 23-24 budget or any of our interim reports to date. So I just want to bring that forward. So these are all restricted programs, and the first one we've already talked about is the LCFF Equity Multiplier. So Victor Valley Union High School, we did receive over $11.7 million of funding for the equity multiplier. We received that at the 23-24 P1 principal apportionment. So the 24-25 budget includes $11.7 million in revenue and also $11.7 million in expenditure. So as we stated before, these funds were allocated to eligible schools based on 22-23 P2 data. The funds, they have been distributed. The funds can be carried forward and spent over 3 years, and the funds must be included in the LCAP, which is what Rebecca presented on before. Next slide. The district has also received the Community Schools Implementation Grant. The district will receive about $16.9 million over the next 5 years for the implementation of community schools. The district must match 1/3 of that amount, or $5.6 million. So the Community Schools Implementation Grant and the goal of community schools is really for us to support the whole student. So it will include services such as addressing social and emotional needs, removing any other barriers from learning, tutoring, and other integrated supports so that our students can learn and learn at their best, and that things are not stopping them from learning. Next slide. Lastly, I want to talk about Proposition 28. And so Proposition 28 is ongoing arts and music funding. And Victor Valley Union High School District received $1.8 million at the 23-24 P1 principal apportionment period. So our budget includes both the revenue and expenditures of these funds. Funding was allocated to eligible schools based on 22-23 P2 data again. 80% of the funding must be used for new positions. 20% of the funding can be used for operations with a 1% cap on administrative fees. And so school sites have prepared plans for this funding. Yes, Penny?
Were all of our schools eligible to receive money?
No, all except for Lorea Middle School because it didn't exist in 22-23. So we fully expect to get an allocation for Lorea this upcoming year.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide. So the budget assumptions that we use to build this budget and the multi-year projections are average daily attendance, enrollment, unduplicated pupil percentage or UPP, and economic reserve. Next slide. Our average daily attendance is projected at 10,742 for the 24-25 year. Enrollment is projected at 11,680. So that's a 1% increase projected for enrollment, and ADA we are holding at 92%. Our unduplicated pupil percentage as of the 23-24 year and the assumption that we're using going forward is nearly 82% at 81.92%. Our economic reserve for the year is a little bit over $7.8 million. Next slide. So this is just a quick snapshot of our enrollment in ADA over the past several years. And so what you'll notice is that the district's enrollment has really begun to rebound since the COVID-19 pandemic. And what's equally important, or even more so important, is that ADA is also rebounding. So from over the last couple years, from in 23-24, we experienced a 1.87% increase in enrollment and a 2.27% increase in ADA. So for the 24-25 year and the subsequent 2 years, we are using the assumption that we will grow by 1% enrollment each year. And again, ADA is remaining at 92% of that. And so for next year, that's about a 1.11% increase in ADA that we're projecting. Next slide. So the purpose of this slide is I really wanted to just show you all the roller coaster that we've been on this past year when trying to develop revenue assumptions for LCFF. We've been on this roller coaster because of the great swings that we've had in projected COLA. So when we started this year, we adopted at 23-24, we were projecting a 3.94% COLA for 24-25. By the time we got to the first and second interims, that had been reduced to 0.76% COLA. And now at the May revise, it's been updated to 1.07% COLA. So the great swings in those COLA projections really show you why our revenue projections have just been all over the place. Next slide. This next slide shows what exactly that means for our district though. So our per ADA funding for LCFF for next year is about $16,139. Projected ADA again is at nearly 10,742. And so the projected revenue per the LCFF revenue calculator is $175,192,017 for the 24-25 year. Next slide. Okay. I apologize, you have it in front of you. It's probably still hard to read in front of you. But this is just a quick snapshot of our Fund 01, which is our general fund. This was pulled out of our SAC software. And what I have highlighted there, I just want to show is that we are projecting to deficit spend in both unrestricted and restricted revenues for the 24-25 year and actually the subsequent 2 years too. The reason that we are deficit spending the way we are is because we have those one-time COVID resources that we've been talking about. We've been talking about them for a couple of years, but they are expiring. And the largest of those resources, which are our ESSER 3 grants, expire this coming September 30th, 2024. So in order for us to account for the expiration of those one-time dollars, we have moved the expenses currently in the ongoing expenses that are in those resources into the unrestricted general fund. And so that's why we start to see a decrease in our reserves over the next couple years. Next slide. This is just a continuation of the unrestricted general fund. And I just wanted to point out that even after all of the changes that we are expecting, we still will have an undesignated reserve amount of over 51 million in our unrestricted general fund for 24-25. Next slide. This next slide is our multi-year financial projection, and what we're looking at is our combined our combined general fund, so both restricted and unrestricted. So we have projected revenue of about $247 million, projected expenses of about $258 million. We have that one-time it's not one time, but we have the transfer out of $3 million. So we do that annually. We transfer that out from the restricted general fund into our facilities fund. That's actually a transfer of RDA funding that we are still receiving. Down below, you see that we have some other amounts reserved. So we have our revolving cash and stores amounts, so that's a total of $150,000 that we reserve. Our restricted reserve of $26.4 million. So that is an amount that we can't tap into for unrestricted purposes, right? It's restricted dollars, so it doesn't count toward our quote-unquote reserve. Those are restricted dollars and must be used for specific purposes, so we can't rely on them. Then we have the Victor Valley Virtual Academy ADA adjustment. We've discussed this adjustment probably since at least second interim. So this is per our 22-23 audit. We had some ADA that was disqualified or disallowed at the Virtual Academy, and our penalty for that is $2.2 million. So we have that reserved in the balances for the next 3 years. Once those funds are actually taken from us or taken back from the state, then that number will come out of the reserved balance. Next, we have our 3% reserve. So that's the state required reserve. That's the reserve for economic uncertainty. You'll see that in all 3 years. And then finally, we have an undesignated amount. So in 24-25, our reserve percentage is nearly 23% at 22.63%. Then that decreases in 25-26 to 19.75%. And then our third year out, 26-27, we're projecting nearly a 10.8% reserve percentage. Down below, you'll see Fund 17. We just point out this Fund 17 reserve because it's a special reserve that was designated by the district. And if necessary, we can bring it into the general fund. So we always point that out, and we have a little bit over $4 million projected balance in that reserve over the next 3 years. Next slide. Next slide. So our statutory requirements is that budget adoption must certify one of 3 financial conditions. Either a positive certification, which means the district will meet financial obligations in the current and 2 subsequent fiscal years. A qualified certification means that the district may not meet financial obligations in current and 2 subsequent years, or a negative certification, which means the district will not meet financial obligations in current and 1 subsequent fiscal year. Next slide. So we are happy to be able to present to you today that upon certification, upon approval on Thursday, the district will have a positive certification. We are certifying that we will meet our financial obligations in the current and the 2 subsequent years. Next slide. So our next steps is to approve this positive certification on Thursday. and then next we're preparing to close the books for 23-24. And lastly, we'll have an update to this budget at our first interim report in December of 2024. Next slide. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
You talked about back at the equity multiplier and all, and talked about the 11.7. Those are restricted funds, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so those, okay.
Yeah, so they are in our restricted general fund.
Any other questions? All righty, thank you very much. Thank you. We close that
Thank
at
you.
3:07.
We got one standing ovation.
Whoa, whoa. All right,
One walked out on you.
okay. Public comments, anything? Okay. VVTA? No? CSCA? No? Content items. All right. We're gonna approve items 7.2 to 9.15.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Vote.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Action item, Superintendent Carl,
So,
about the election.
10.1, this is, every time we have an election, it's basically alerting the public that there's an election coming up this year, and we have to submit the order of election and specifications as we prepare for the November 5th. So we have 2 open seats, and so we'll get this submitted over to the county. And as you can see, the dates are on there. People can start pulling middle of July and have to be in no later than August 9th. So it's just requires board action, just as an acknowledgement that we have to do order of elections submitted to the county.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second? One of you,
Second.
and then vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Another action item, educational services. Ramoni?
Thank you. We are bringing forth our contracts with 4 agencies to continue to serve our students who need speech as part of their IEPs. These agencies we've worked with for a number of years. As you all know, it is still a nationwide problem to really get speech therapists. And this year, we are making our priority to really look and hire our own. I know we've got a lot going on as far as some of the initiatives, but this is going to be one of the priorities for this upcoming year, so we can get these people in place for the following year. So just wanted to bring this to the board, and thank you for your consideration to approve these contracts.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
Aye. Action item, human resources. Mike?
Thank you very much. So yeah, the first one up is our certificated personnel report. I sent you guys a quick copy of what's in there. It's a little smaller than last time's PSR report. If you have any questions, let me know, and I can gladly answer them for you.
Any
I
questions?
just have one.
Sure.
Okay, on 7A, in the adult school list of people, okay, they have Stacy Porter on there. Is she the counselor for adult school? Is that why she's on there?
No, Stacy's not a counselor for adult
Oh,
school.
I'm thinking of a different.
Andrea.
Andrea.
Yeah, no, Andrea Porter's down at the Victor High School, and she helps out.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she's
Stacy
not.
Porter different, you're right.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
A vote?
Aye.
Aye. 12.2.
Okay, again, this is our classified personnel report. Again, I give you guys a short items of what you might have questions on, but if there's anything else, just let me know, and I'll gladly answer those questions for you.
Any questions?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, on 8B, okay, we have a signing bonus for a mental health technician. Now, is that difficult a position to fill that we need to offer a signing bonus?
It was when we initially did this back 2 years ago when we first started the mental health clinicians, but now since we did the job study, we've changed, of course, the pay scale and the structure of it. It won't be moving forward, but this is the last person we had hired on that old system.
Oh,
So this is just
okay.
paying out that last one. So this is not a new hire. This is actually paying off the last person we hired last year, because they get one at the middle of the year and one at the end of the year when they complete the year.
Right.
So it's just paying off that last part of the stipend.
So do we plan on offering signing bonuses for anything else?
No, that is not the plan anymore. We should have a competitive pay salary now and schedule as well as a calendar, so that should not be a need anymore.
Speech pathologists or things
Yeah,
like
that
that?
one,
That one.
that one might be, just as we get going with that one might bring something to
I
the
think
board for
San Bernardino
consideration.
was doing that.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, any other questions? All right, can I get a motion on that one?
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay, vote.
Aye.
On 13.1, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Aye.
13.2,
So moved.
second?
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Aye.
13.3, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Aye.
Aye.
13.4,
So moved.
second? Vote?
Aye.
Information items. Conference request, educational study, board policy, first reading, board policy, second reading, and most of that was, everybody read it? Okay, all right. And then staff reports. 15.1, business.
Yes, okay, so in business, one of our major priorities right now, and Mary Lou can definitely attest to this, is closing the books for 23-24. So here we are at the end of the fiscal year. Our new fiscal year starts on Monday, July 1st, and we're very excited for it. So we're working through closing the books. We've also just kicked off this week the purchasing and requisition process for next school year, so school sites can start to prepare for students to come back. Also, this is the last week of summer school, so we know right now our division is doing the transportation for ESY students, and we're also doing the summer school feeding and community feeding, so that will come to an end this year. Brett's area, Brett is back, welcome back, Brett. But his area is working, very diligently on some of all of our facilities projects that we have to complete when students are gone for the summer, including large HVAC projects that are underway. So,
I saw that.
yeah, that's what we're doing for the year, for the summer, preparing for the year. I'm just looking forward to kicking off next school year on a good foot.
Okay, very good, and thank you very much for everything. Educational Services Division.
All right, good afternoon. Just wanted to kind of share, we look forward to seeing you all at Thursday's summer school graduation. It starts at 12 o'clock. It's going to be at Victor's Pack. And so we look
And we're
forward to seeing.
wearing our gown.
You are wearing your gown.
Good.
Absolutely. So we look forward to graduating students. So it'll be
Real
your
gown.
last graduation this school year, I promise. And,
Yeah, right.
You sure there's not gonna be one on Saturday?
So we look forward to seeing you, and thank you, Lorraine, just for a fabulous job in summer school and getting this thing. I had an opportunity to go visit our summer school classes at Victor this morning with Dr. Cook and also with Genevieve, the principal there for summer school, and our kids are doing great, and our teachers as well too. So we thank them very much. Also, I want to thank Dr. Cook for just an amazing job. A new 3-year LCAP is a heavy lift. And just, her and her team, and also, there's something to be said when you get a clap, to start off your presentation, because it really was a team effort. And I think that is the first thing that Dr. Cook will tell you, and especially led with Mary Lou and Shantae, and just helping, because it's just such a collaboration between the two divisions. And so everyone that's in there, thank you so much for the work that you do. Even up until Bianca, who supports Dr. Cook, her work that she's done with, Tara Lynn and Carol and Mauda and Lorraine, really just, it's a lot of heavy lifting. So I just want to thank you for your leadership on that, and thank you. I know it wasn't easy, but you did a great job. Thank you. Also, too, just wishing everyone, take some time off. I am going to take next week off.
What?
So that I can finish
You're
unpacking.
going to Cambodia.
I know.
She
No,
told
I
me to
wish I
sign
could.
this request, and I didn't even know what I was signing.
I know, exactly.
Uh-oh, you don't even know where
Vacation
she's
request.
going with our money.
And my contract was renewed last time, so I'm really at a good place, you know?
Oh, you're in a good place.
You're moving into a new house, aren't you?
I am, so that's why I'm taking vacation time, so I
Well, if
can
you need any
move.
help, let Lisa know. We'll come and
Oh,
help you move.
okay.
We certainly will.
Thank you, everyone.
I use my truck.
You can use his
Not
truck.
me.
I'll drive his truck.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Thank you very much. 15.3, human resource.
Thank you very much. Someone sent me a message just recently, said, how do we go from June 1st to June 25th in 3 days? Because that's what it feels like. With that, I would like to just let you all know that we're planning our new teacher orientation, and I'll be getting you guys information soon, so you guys can attend that board. Also, I'd like to thank Mary Lou Casino from all of her help to make sure our summer school program people are getting there on their pay schedule correctly, so thank you, Mary Lou, for helping out with that. And also, I'd like to just, hope that everyone has a great 4th of July week and get some rest and take care of ourselves, because before we know it, the kids are going to be back, the teachers are going to be back, and start all over. So thank you all. I hope you guys will have a great 4th of July break.
Okay, and then on legislation, Friday, I will be up there, not in Sacramento, but I'll be zooming in to see where we are with all our legislation that we're having. And thank God that we have changes in certain things, so it was really good. Mr. Barrios, comments?
Oh, yeah, I've got to have something. All right, thank you all for coming. I know it's probably part of your job. And Dr. Cook, you presented, so you had to be here. But you could have Zoomed, all right? But no, in person was great. All right, and again, Thursday is summer school graduation. It's always kind of cool to see the last graduation of the year.
Yeah.
And you see these ones that they had to go to summer school to graduate, and they're just as happy and just as important as the ones that went through it. Oh, God, whatever that was, a
and
long
just as
time
many-
ago, huh?
And just as many parents come.
And, oh, yeah, it's still a
Lot
real
of
important
parents.
deal for everybody.
Yeah.
And again, everybody's already said it, but I hope you have a good rest of your summer and I'll say a safe 4th of July, because lately I hear stories about, this happened, that happened. They had fireworks at Spring Valley Lake Saturday, and I heard there was a couple of
It was him.
couple of issues. No fireworks, no fireworks.
Fireworks.
I learned the hard way about pyrotechnics, okay?
Oh.
When your old clothing lights on fire, the party's over, all right?
Okay.
And that's the truth.
Mr. Crosby?
All right, well, first of all, thank Dr. Cook for the LCAP presentation and answering the questions. Appreciate that and the work you do there. Shante, thank you, of course, for your budget and stuff. We've got a lot to look forward to. I appreciate the transparency and the excellence of the job you guys do. We have a long way to go. We talk about that a lot. We're moving in the right direction, but we have a long way to go in this district to get to where we need to go. But we've got some good people in place and appreciate that. Thank you for the work that you do, but particularly thank you for the transparency. Jose and I have been on this for so many years, and on the teacher's side, as union people, to see a budget that you can actually believe, not a piece of crap that we got for 30 some odd years or 40 years for me plus. It's just nice to see. So thank you. We appreciate that transparency. Lorraine, thank you for a wonderful, fantastic adult school graduation, and congratulations. I think that was your highest number ever of graduates, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes, and congratulations for that. Excellent job. For that. It was a fantastic job. And I guess in a couple of days we'll be seeing everybody, so I wish everybody a good summer too, but I'll wish, I guess, that in a couple of days now. And Carl, since your wedding's coming up in a short time, wish you the best of luck, you and Ruby, and simply say that I hope you can find at least half the happiness my wife and I have in 38 years we've been married. And if you do, you'll have a wonderful marriage, and we're excited for you, and good luck on that.
Okay. Penny?
Well, thank you for Shantae for keeping our finances in order. such a thorough job. And thank you, Rebecca, for spending our finances in such worthy methods for our students.
It sound right.
That don't sound good. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here and enjoy your summer. Please stay hydrated, stay out of the sun if you can help it. Don't do the hardest work on the hottest day at the hottest hour. I'm talking to you, Fran. And thank you very much for being here and working hard for our students. Thank you.
Okay, Hinojos?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all 7 of you for being here today. It's good to see you.
7.5.
It's good to see you here, and glad you stuck around to the end. Also, I want to thank any of those that are watching on YouTube. I tried to check to see how many were, and I couldn't get into it. I hope they were able to. I want to thank Genevieve Johnstone, our summer school principal at Victor Valley High School, for allowing me to spend some time with her last week. It was very informative and educational as she filled me in on our summer school program. We also had some time to tour some of the classes that were in session, and it was nice to get to meet some of our teachers and to be able to thank them personally for the great job that they do. I'm looking forward to seeing Jason Olmsted, our summer school principal at Adelanto High School, tomorrow, and spending some time with him. Thanks to all of our teachers and staff that are involved with our summer school program, as I'm sure it helps our students make up what they need to graduate. Thanks to Shantae and Dr. Cook and the rest of our staff for putting together our LCAP as well as our 2024 and 2025 budget. We know a lot of time and effort went into this process, so thank you all and a job well done. Thanks again for attending, and we wish you all a happy and safe 4th of July. Enjoy your summer. Looking forward to the big wedding next weekend. And for a good time, just keep the bears away.
Don't wear any honey.
Yeah, leave your honey at home.
Keep the honey at home. Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you guys for being here. My gosh, I wouldn't think you would be, but it's really great. And I did attend that adult education. That was one of the largest groups that we've had in years. So people do know about us, and they do rely on us. That's really good. I really love that. That was great. I want to thank the staff for working so hard. I know that you did in order to make it a great year for us. So I think we thank you, the staff, all of us up here at the board thanks you for all the things that you've done, because you guys work really hard to get there. And I love the positive certification, of course. That's the biggest thing that we need, so we won't have to worry this summer. I know that July will be a down month, and I want everybody to take some time off for yourself and do whatever you like to do for your family and yourself, because I know that even they have not had much time with you being here, so please take that time. The 4th of July is coming up, and be safe. Whatever you do, be safe, because we want to see you next year. And Brett, I heard you took a vacation. Where'd you go?
Costa Rica.
Huh?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Good choice.
My goodness, that's where all the 100-year-old people live. No, they live in the hills. There's quite a few of them that live up there. They're 100 years old. Did you go and drink some of their drink? That's really good. But
Can you capture that in the notes?
yeah, you brought some back, right?
Yeah, coconut, right, Brett?
Coconut, coconut juice. And as you know, pretty soon we'll have a married guy, and hopefully we'll all get to see him get married, and that'll be great. And I hope that you'll have a very, very long life, and I hope you're marrying your best friend.
Absolutely.
because, you know, those lovers go by the wayside. But those friends of yours, they're always there through thick and thin, no matter what.
Probationary
Remember I
contract.
told you that?
You did.
You gotta marry your best friend. That's what it's all about. Best friend is the best thing. You know, I've been married since '79. That's a long time. So I want to make sure that you stay married that long too.
I hope we're around that long, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully around that long. That's true. Hope you're around that long as well. Okay. All right, Mr. Cole. Give us your last speech.
Yeah, last week. I'd like to just thank Dr. Cook, Ramoni, Shantae, Mary Lou for all the work, and everybody else, you know, for the work that you did to put together our LCAP, you know, and to put the numbers in order and spend them wisely. You know, really looking forward to next month having a presentation on how we finished up as a district, looking at all our data. Every single one of our indicators went up. And so we're in a really good spot. Can't agree with you more. We got some great momentum, a lot of work to do, but this momentum will continue to carry us over. And the greatest predictor of future success is going to be our past success. And we're going to continue to build upon that. Also would like to, it's going to go live today or tomorrow as we continue to look at each of our schools on how to make them stronger and safer and getting more input as we continue to explore potentially going out and asking the voters to approve a couple of bond measures for us that we can continue to look at our schools and to really look at the infrastructure and the growth that we continue to impact. And I think one of the greatest things we can do with along the lines of transparency is to continue to get that input from all of our community stakeholders. And so as that goes live, would appreciate everybody kind of sending that out to our voters so that we have more and more input as we continue to explore the possibilities of asking the public for funds so that we can make our schools safer and stronger. So with that, I hope everybody enjoys some time off in July. And I'm looking forward to some time off. So we'll see you on Thursday, and we'll be back at it before we know it.
Okay. Move to close.
So moved.
Second? Vote?
Aye.